What time is that, Chad? Should be done by. The big thing is they don't want to change the districts from the way it is, because right now it's staggered there.
And next week there's a
All the
special
different areas are covered.
Special P and Z.
P and Z.
Some counties you end up ward where they're all living. The way we got it right now.
Is this the initial? I just want to-
Well,
Is this
every
the
10 years,
initial?
you gotta-
These ones, 4 bonds?
So it's
Or
good
just
for
three?
10 years.
Okay, so that is, this is the actual initial set. I was like,
After
like
the-
it's awesome and said,
After the census,
refinancing the fall. Yeah, you're swapping warrants for actual bond. So I was just, okay. So when I was trying to do it, I'm like, it's so different. We're like, okay, so this is the initial selling base of the bond.
That's maybe it's been there.
wrong, but I think.
It's right, it's 7 o'clock.
We'll call this regular meeting of the Stanley City Council to order. Please note, we have all council people here, including our Public Works, our city engineer, our city attorney, P and Z, and 2 auditors. So for the record, these meetings are recorded, so if you wish to address the council, please come to the podium and make sure the light's on. First thing on the agenda is a public hearing for the District 50 and 51 special assessments. And that is the Westview sewer and water and road out there. Is there anybody here to speak for or against them? How much time do I have to give them?
What?
How much time do I have to give them?
If nothing was received in sorry, if nothing was received in writing and we don't have anyone here to protest, I think you can move on.
Okay. With that, we'd need a motion to accept the special assessment, right, Ellen?
Yep, to approve the special assessments as set forth by the Special Assessment Committee.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Minton, second by Linda. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Jake?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
Linda?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Chad?
All right.
Motion carried. Next on the agenda would be the bonds that we took out for those 2 special assessments. And any comments on that, Linda? Or, Elaine?
Nope, so the bonds have already been sold. The money will be distributed to the city on November 1st. The interest rate is 1.74. Obviously, 1.5% will be added to that, bringing it to 3.24 on the special assessments that'll be set, that have been set. So the next thing we need to do is approve the resolution authorizing the issuance of improvement warrants and exchanging them for $765,000 refunding improvement bonds of 2021 Series B.
Okay, questions on that?
That 1.5% that we added on, is that just because we can?
Yes, and I know a while ago, I had provided you guys with something that had come from our bond council. So yes, that is just in case. So this is pursuant to North Dakota Century Code 40-24-02. A city may charge up to 1.5% over the net interest rate the bonds issued for the improvement district of which the assessments are levied. And kind of the reason for this would be to provide the city with a buffer within the bond fund of additional funds in the event the property owners prepay their special assessments with no interest. Kind of cut this short, make it sweet. Or if there's any deficiencies, if the bonds may be called sooner. But it's also just an additional layer of protection to prevent the possible use of deficiency.
So if we don't need it, then do we pay it back or do we just consider it a cash cow and put it in the general fund?
Yep.
I guess
Well,
I
and if you
disagree
watch
with that.
those,
That's,
if you watch those funds over the years, though, they're usually not a bunch of extra in them.
Like I know the last one we
but
did,
that's the goal, 0 for 0, not
Yep.
pay off.
but
what-
it is just kind of an extra layer of protection, as bond counsel had stated to me, because if there is any deficiencies or somebody doesn't pay, there are cases where things like that do happen, or if people do pay them off early, because then you don't have that additional interest being paid anyways.
See, we have to pay the 1.7 on the bonds, so
Right.
Yeah,
if
that's
everybody
required.
paid them off right away, we'd actually lose money, if we didn't have that built-in thing. So, and I think that's been the standard for as long as I can remember, to the 1.5. Any other questions, comments?
I'd make a motion to approve the resolution for the bonds. Is that right?
Okay,
Correct.
is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Minton. Any further discussion? Call the roll?
Jake,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Chad.
Motion carried.
The last thing I have to go along with that, you'll obviously see one of the copies I gave you. It's an official bid form. It's just now that you've approved the resolution, Fritz and I both will have to sign that. But I just wanted to give you a copy so you are aware of what other additional paperwork is required to be submitted. And the last thing I have to go with that is we also need a motion to transfer 800,000 from the general fund of the surge funds within the general to District 51, since that was something that we discussed when we set up this district, that the city would contribute the 800,000 for the street improvement.
So we didn't okay that a long time ago.
Well, yes and no, but I still kind of need that motion to transfer it.
Okay,
I'll make the motion to transfer the funds.
motion by Mr. Hellman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Chad. Any other discussion? Call the roll?
Jake,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Chad.
Motion carried. So that takes care of those?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to the minutes. We had a regular meeting on the 14th, and a special meeting on the 29th. Is there any corrections or additions?
I have one correction, sorry. So in the P and Z portion of the minutes, on the runway, initially we thought it was 1,200 feet wide. It's 1,200 feet long. So
Yeah, I was gonna. mention
just a
that too.
mistake, so we just need to change that in the
Well, if you
minutes.
compare it with the runway that's there now, it would be that wide, but the length would be, it would be length, not width.
So,
Right, Zach? Okay, yep. Any other corrections?
Motion to approve the minutes
As corrected?
as correct.
Okay, is there a second? Second by Ty. No more discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Planning and zoning, Mr. Highbreder is here.
Mr. Mayor, council members, we had our regular meeting last night. Our order of business, we had a mobile food permit from you say this guy's name?
I was waiting for you to read that one.
Well, anyway, we had Mr. Heinley came with a permit, mobile food permit. He right now is set up at the laundromat, and he would like to move to the Sunshine Car Wash and make it more of a permanent setting with his mobile food trailer. After a little discussion, we did talk about, because he does have a permit now at the car wash, if this one is approved, that one would become null and void, the one at the laundromat.
Okay.
And so we set a public hearing for 5:30, November 8th at our next meeting.
Okay.
They don't have to do anything with that? No, okay. And then after that, we had no committee concerns to discuss. So we went into our zoning ordinance review, and we are on our very last section of the book. Next Wednesday, I heard some talk that we might get some visitors. I hope we do. We will go through that last section, and then we have to go backwards, and we have 3 areas to completely rewrite: landscaping, parking, and lot coverage.
Okay.
So we will be going backwards to do that. And then there are questions within. We don't know how to word a few things. We will be calling on the attorney to help us do our preliminary wording of some sentences. And then we'll be moving on with our retyping of the whole book.
So it'd be good when you get done, if you could get it to the council like 2 weeks before the meeting so we can look through it,
Definitely, and Lynn and Amanda will,
maybe even a month or whatever.
yes,
but-
we
Okay.
will. They have, Amanda and Lynn will be having a lot of typing and rewriting and going back through all our notes and our changes. Yes.
Yes,
it
it'll
will
need
go
to
to
go
the lawyer
before the
first.
attorney for review before it's brought before council for any approval.
Okay,
And that is all we had last evening.
okay, any questions or comments for P and Z? Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Next in the agenda would be Amanda's report.
Good evening, everyone. Mine, as you can see, is short and sweet. We have 1 permit for our mayor to replace his driveway. And then 2 new signs for Dirty Diesel, which is the old multi-chem. That is to the west of the cemetery. They're just replacing signs that were already there. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
My only thing would be when they sign, like when they've signed here, next time if they'll sign like their name and
Oh,
say
have
what
Josh
they
sign
are
it?
as to like what, if they're an officer, owner, whatever, just so we know who was the one that applied for the business.
Okay.
That's okay.
Do you want me to call Josh and have him come in and
Let's
sign
have
that
him do
separately?
that so we have
Sure.
a record of
We
that.
can do that.
Thanks, Amanda.
Mine's okay.
You can have him drive
Fee might be a little late.
That's because Kurt's paying for the bottom end. Okay, any other comments, questions on the 3 permits?
Move to approve.
Motion by Zach, is there a second? Second by Chad. No other discussion, call the roll.
Jake,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
Linda,
All right.
David,
Aye.
Chad.
Motion carried.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think everything else we have to talk about, Kendra will do on her report, so. Okay.
Okay. Moving on, the Visitors Committee. And I don't think anybody's going to be able to make it for that tonight. He did tell me both of the requests, the committee voted unanimously to approve both of them.
Motion to approve both applicants.
Okay, by Jake, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Linda. Any discussion?
Is the cheer thing, is that an invitation to surrounding schools?
Yes.
There were other towns come
Yep.
for it?
Yep, it's, and it's not really part of the school. Each one of the cheerleaders was responsible for $1,000 besides, and they've been fundraising for the last 2 months over it, so, yeah.
I think on the back, the water should.
Tioga Ray, Berthold, Kenmare, Newtown.
Okay, call the roll.
There's a paper copy because when it's scanned, it somehow skipped a few pages every now and then, and I'm not sure why. They just were catching as it was scanning. But yeah, you do have a paper copy in front of you with the actual details.
So I didn't miss this in the packet,
Nope,
No, it wasn't in there.
because that's where I was looking, I saw it in the.
Mhm.
sorry, there were 146 pages. It somehow tend to skip a few. It's done it before too.
I vote aye.
Oh, Zach.
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
David, Chad.
Motion carried. Next up would be the Bros updates.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I think this is the first time I remember to do that.
Pull it a little closer to you.
So the first thing I got today is what was briefly discussed last week was the Nelson Sewer over by Reservoir Road. Curtis had asked me to look at finding a route to run a line to take care of the septic system that is there right now, I guess. Couple of options that we looked at were running one on the north side, Reservoir Road, running it straight down towards the lift station, and then running it parallel the Reservoir Road on the south side. Couple of things I guess that we found is running it on, oh, I can't see that laser. Running it on this north side here, to this manhole. Gravity doesn't work with the sanitary system. Can't get it to flow downhill the whole way. What you'd have to do is you'd have to run it and bore underneath the freshly paved asphalt road. We looked at running it straight down to this manhole. The issue with that is keeping cover and keeping the line from freezing underneath that slough. And so the other two options that we looked at was taking a straight shot to this next manhole. What that does is that splits this landowner's property such that they probably have some trouble future developing. That if they do, just the route that I thought would be most logical is you hug that right away as long as you can. And then once you get down here, you can shoot across to this manhole. That route's roughly 1,100 feet of pipe, where the straight shot is about 900 feet of pipe. Using some of the bid prices that Wagner gave us for the city project, coming up with about 110K for the option one and 70K for option two. I talked to some people about some recent septic systems that they've put in. And they said it's anywhere from like 10 to 20 grand. So that's kind of, I guess, what we had found for the routes for that.
What's it at if you go through the radius so that you can stay in that easement that's already there?
If you come through here, So the issue with that is, you gotta go underneath the pipe. There's also some utilities through there. So there's some, there's a little bit of a gas right here, but this I would say, I don't know, that's probably another 200 feet, I guess.
So even option one, you'd need an easement on the west side.
Yeah, regardless, you're gonna need an easement. Yeah.
I know if I was the guy on the south, I wouldn't sign the easement.
Well, no, especially a developer, that's why we'd probably go back to the landowner and talk to him about a septic tank. So I'd like to just table this for now. Because I know the landowner said they'd like the septic line, but if we can't get an easement, plus those kind of numbers, I mean, we just can't do that.
So this is just coming from them requesting sewer service or?
This is from,
I missed last month. I didn't see what-
see that pipe he's got from back in the 70s, a straight line straight down to the main line. So when Annabelle did all that dirt work, they uncovered enough that it froze. So then, as a quick fix, the city put a tank in for him across the road on the south side of the gravel. And it wasn't even a very big tank, I don't think. No drain field. And we thought, well, when they develop them, we'll hook them up to a sewer line. Well, it's never happened. So we've spent, I think now we're just about $3,000 this year paying to pump that tank out. Because there's $750 this month in the bills.
So what's our, so on 100, let's say the 100, or 70,000, use that 900 feet. What's the city's, is that all on the property owner to pay that then, or what?
I would guess it's gonna be on the cities because the city had hired Annabelle to, they're the ones that wrecked his old one.
You own the tank, correct? The city is the one that put it in.
Yeah.
So there's no cost there at all.
No. I'd be surprised if there was. It's gonna take some talking to get them to put a septic tank in, I think. But if we can't get easements, that'd be the only solution.
The septic tank's currently on whose property? It's our,
Landis Farms.
on Landis Farm. So like, we're still talking about there's an option of putting a septic tank on somebody else's property too.
Well, no, we'd get it back on the north side of the road on their property.
And I guess, you know, if he owns all that land on that north end, you know, the issues was gravity and then boring underneath the pavement road. Boring is gonna add cost to your project. Well, if you can't get an easement from that south guy, but you can get it from the north guy.
Can I ask a question?
Up to the tree zone, right?
Yep, go ahead, Dave.
The Boy Scout building, how is that plumbed in for sewer? What
That,
type of system? are
the
they-
main line from the John Ryan addition comes down on the east side of the Boy Scout property.
This is probably the Boy Scout building right about here.
Yeah.
This is this green line.
So there's a good line right there.
It's just the elevation.
We could stay on Nelson's side of the road.
But yeah,
Can't get it up that hill.
It's up, yeah.
Maybe we'd put a lift in it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it beats paying somebody for an easement, I would think, maybe over time. I agree with Fritz, if we tabled this till we get some more facts. and figure
Yeah.
it out.
we'll keep working on this, I think.
I went straight south here right away. I didn't try going in here. This is the water line. Yeah. But I just tried going straight to this manhole.
Yeah.
Kind of Curtis had thought we could get.
That's what we originally thought would be the
and I tried moving it left and right. The issue is this slew and trying to keep enough cover over the pipe and gravity working.
Mhm.
Like if it's in the road easement, the one we put there, it's already road easement for two long shot, but they might be able to chip in because they can use it for future development on the side. But you can't get across the ground.
Okay, I guess move on. But that's kind of what we found, so. Up next is the Stanley CIP project. Mr. Hishland asked, maybe 2-3 months ago, was kind of some dust control out on the airport road. So I kind of looked at what it would take to run, asphalt millings from the CIP project along that road to help control some of the dust. I think it would help with your dust. I don't know if it's gonna solve your problem. The other thing is when that asphalt millings get hot, they'll clump up and your maintenance people blading it might not like it, but it's something that we could definitely propose to Wagner. Right now, they have to bring in a milling machine to mill up 500 ton of millings to give to Curtis for his use. Just roughly, I did some calcs. 500 tons of milling is probably only going to go 1,000 feet. So the airport road or 82nd Avenue, that's roughly 2,600 feet right here. And then from 6 up to this corner, 1,700, and railroad is another 1,500. Now railroad might be a whole nother discussion because that's probably not city property and probably railroad property. But I just added that length in there, I guess. So like I said, I know Mr. Hishland brought up maybe using millings to help with the dust control out on some of those roads. And so that's definitely something, if we want to propose it to Wagner, we can. But right now, all of the old asphalt, except for that 500 tons, is theirs. It's going to become property of them,
Of Wagner's.
of Wagner.
Are they gonna haul it out of here?
They're gonna haul it out of here. It's kind of, they could blend it with some virgin aggregate and put it on the CIP project. But I don't think they're gonna do that. Just doesn't make sense in my mind for them.
How does that, I mean, is that still kind of a marketable asset, isn't it? I mean, how does that become their property instead of ours?
Yeah, so how it's written is they are encouraged to use it back into the project as aggregate base. They can't just do it all. They have to get some virgin aggregate to mix in there. To minimize the impacts of the project on the general public, the way they are going to construct it is they have 2 blocks they can remove the asphalt, get that work, get the gravel put back together, and then move on. Well, it takes some time to haul the old asphalt to a plant to mix with virgin aggregate, and it's just not going to be equitable for them to do that, I don't believe.
Yeah, I guess what I was curious, like, I mean, if it becomes theirs versus when we just have them haul to our pits and we can use it for whatever. you
And
know what I
that's-
mean? Is that something like, I mean, are we giving away something that we should be stockpiling for something we could use or sell or, just a question I had.
Is it already an existing agreement that?
Yeah.
Yeah, then it's probably at the terms of the contract.
Theoretically, they could bid it cheaper because they had the option of keeping it and selling it, but if trucking it and handling it makes it not equitable
Yeah.
for them, they still might be willing to give it back to us.
Well,
Yeah.
something you can negotiate with them.
Right, it's
Just-
something that we can negotiate with them.
Get a-
So-
Yes, let's ask Curtis if he thinks it's worth fooling with to begin with.
Well, if we take it and put it at the landfill, that contract's all done, we're stuck with it, so the city would end up paying $80,000-$90,000 to get it built. on our own, if we just take it off their hands, you know, help them out.
The chunks.
The jobs, yeah, they're not gonna be military.
But I guess my question is, back to my original question, would it help you or the property owners beside those gravel roads if we put that down? In your mind, would that help with the dust?
Well, you're still gonna get the dust, you know what I mean, especially with the drought that we're in now. You're still gonna get a little bit of dust off of that, but to maintain it, a lot of times you go to mix it up again, or get the washboards out of there, it's gonna come out in chunks. So you go spend a little bit of time to try to get it back there. That's the only problem is,
I have no problem not using it.
Yep.
It was just a question with knowing that there's gonna be a bunch of it, if that helped with dust for the people, then
I don't know if the guys have been out on the airport road. We put it in there probably a month ago. Cycle within a week or two, washboards. So fine, the building.
Yeah, I mean, if we're just doing something for the sake of doing something, but if it doesn't bring any value, then there's no value in doing it.
Well, in most years, we're not gonna have to do 2 times dust control. We've usually gotten by with one,
One, right.
so. Okay,
Okay, yeah, like I said, I just wanted to investigate that, you know, so. Last, thing for the CIP, we tried looking at putting hours together, for the construction engineering, task orders for this project, for the CIP project. But we're really just guessing without having contractors, schedule of the time. So what we did is we kind of would hope to break it up into phases and just try to get through reviewing of submittals, preparing change orders, getting the documents, project set up and organized. So I had presented 2 task orders there. One task order was for District 53 and the other task order was for District 54. And like I said, didn't want to come in with a huge proposal of time, considering construction ain't going to happen for another few months. So we're looking at something to kind of keep going through the winter as they submit submittals.
As to these, and I've spoke with Lynn on this before, and I apologize, if you want to do you want to explain the other agreement first, or do you want me to?
Yeah, we can go to the general agreement, I guess. I had prepared the general agreement. The one that we have right now, I think was 2019 of March. And we were looking at getting that updated because it was good for 2 years and then another year if parties were agreeable to it. And we had just kind of updated our stuff on Rose's side for our engineering department. And I was looking at getting the general agreement. And I kind of mentioned to Lynn that if Kenner didn't have enough time, either approve it contingent on her approval or push it to the next meeting.
So on this, when I look at, I mean, to me, these are two different things. Our general overarching agreement that's in effect right now is still in effect between the city and Burroughs. And then this is a separate task order general agreement. Because this is still in effect, I would just recommend to the council tonight not to approve this other task order agreement. I would like more time to address this and look over it, especially to discuss with Jordan, because this is quite a lengthy agreement. And to me, this is almost, you'd have each of these if we were entering into a new agreement, one, general agreement and some reference to this task order agreement. Because this is still ongoing right now, I just wouldn't recommend we enter into this other one, which would be 3 years, I believe, if I read it correctly.
Yeah, that was the number I put in there. Yep.
So I'm fine. I would be fine with recommending to the council tonight. There's task order 1 and task order 2 for District 53 and 54. If you, the council can approve those, but I would ask that it would be contingent on removal of the language that references this general task order agreement. With the upcoming projects, which we'll be getting to, I believe, a little bit later on in our agenda regarding the other projects where the city will be putting out a request for qualifications. I think holding off on this until that time, if Bros is going to be one of the firms that applies and interviews for that, it would be appropriate to address these sort of agreements at that time. And hopefully, as a whole, we could reach a bigger agreement that would be overarching and contain all of this. The only other thing with these task orders tonight is that Donovan has included a sheet with each of those, task order 1 and 2, that shows the schedule, an hourly rate sheet. The hourly rate sheet is different from the one that was attached back in 2019 when we entered into the agreement with Bros. So if this council is approving the task orders tonight with those contingencies, you'll also need to approve the 2021 hourly rate for those task orders.
Okay. Comments, questions?
Sorry, I know that's a lot to throw at once.
Would it just be easier to table the whole thing until next meeting, or?
If they need the task orders to move forward with work, I would just ask that the council approves them, just contingent on the removal of that language referencing the general task order agreement, which hasn't been signed. I would ask for just removal of that would be my recommendation. And if you do approve the task orders, we are going to have to approve the different rate changes for hourly. But once it's the council's choice, if you feel more comfortable tabling it, we kind of went in with that understanding of that as well.
Well,
If
I
you
didn't
felt
read
more.
that whole thing.
No, it's a lot.
Is it gonna put you guys out quite a bit if we wait for a month on that, or is it something that needs to be approved tonight?
I don't think you need to approve it tonight.
I think you should just table it then, if there's that much of a language issue. And I gotta be honest, I tried to page through it, but.
It's
it made me-
okay. Nope. And I think that's part of it is the task orders themselves are fine as long as we remove the reference to that general agreement, because we've never had a general overarching agreement that's just specific to task orders. We have a general agreement that's been in effect that covers the whole scope of engineering services with Bros. That one's still in effect. Just my recommendation is if we're putting out this request for qualifications for other projects and we're getting somebody appointed as a city engineer under that for 3 to 5 years, they're typically good for if we're getting state contracts.
I mean, if I'm understanding correct, we're okay if we table this until the next meeting?
Yeah.
I don't want to make it more difficult, and I know it's hard to explain without it sounding difficult, but I just think that portion of it would be better to wait until we
Yeah,
can
no.
address both of these after that.
Do you need a motion to table it, Fritz, or?
I don't think so.
I think
I
let's
think if
just
we
hold
just
off on
don't,
it
if we
it's
don't
okay
do
to hold off
anything,
on
then
it.
he'll bring it back again next.
Okay, moving on to the,
So is there any monies available? Because I had something I wanted you to work on 53 and 4.
what's that again?
As far as looking at materials for the sewer and water project next year, what we're running into with R&T is shortage of pipe and stuff. So what do you think of the idea of getting it ordered? It might come in February. If it comes and gets stored here in Stanley, we'd have to pay for it. But, I mean, then we'd know the project would have the
Sure,
materials.
So Wagner has already expressed that. They've already been submitting submittals to me for a month or two now, probably.
Okay.
I have been going through them because like you said, right now, the whole COVID thing is still delaying materials. He said it's like some of the materials are 6 months wait. So I thought it'd be important to get those reviewed and approved rather than sit on them for
Yeah.
a few months.
And if you need a staging area, maybe Kurt can come up with.
Okay, yeah, he hasn't asked for like staging material. He had just brought up concern of making sure he orders the correct material that we want.
I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with getting a bill from, if they're here in town, the
Okay.
materials. I don't know what everybody else thinks of that, but it might save some headaches next summer.
I think that's, what we don't want to happen is Wagner want a pay app or something to get those materials ordered and Donovan say, well, sorry, we're not hired to be the engineer yet, you know, and
Right.
that's the only urgency to the.
That's why I'm wondering if you need these task orders so you can work on something like that in the time. being.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely help, you
I
know,
think the
like I
task
said, I'm
order is
already.
fine to approve that,
Just contingent to removal.
Yeah.
The language in there
Yeah.
that refers to the general. I'll make that motion to approve the 2 task orders contingent upon adjusting the language to.
Yeah,
Kendra's.
or Kendra's approval or,
I'll
Okay.
second that.
okay? We have a motion and a second. Did you get
Jake.
any other discussion? So is Wagner okay with that, getting the materials here to town?
Yeah, he hasn't said anything about storing material or anything like that. And I'm pretty sure per the contract, they can request that and you would have to pay them,
Yeah.
you know, the upfront material cost, not in place, you know. But he hasn't requested a stockpiling site or anything. He just wanted to get his submittals out in front so he can get his material ordered because it's like a 6 months wait on some of that stuff.
Can I also, if you're gonna move forward with the task force or the task order, we would need a motion regarding the fee schedule for bros on those.
Okay.
That was in Chad's motion.
Sure.
All right, that was in my second as well.
Okay. Anything else? Call the roll?
Jake,
Aye.
Zach,
Abstain.
did he? Oh, Ty,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Chad.
Motion carried.
All right, thank you. So moving on to the NDH shared path. The environmental, we're working on some easements with Chris Schneider and John Ryan. I hope we can work through the John Ryan thing. It's something that I anticipated might be a little more challenging. But I know Kendra's been working on that with their attorney.
We're trying.
And haven't had any further communication with John Anderson or Chris Schneider, but they had indicated that they would sign it. Kind of been waiting on making sure we get the path exactly where we want it before I ask them to sign anything. The environmental document is scheduled for the 15th of this month. There's going to be some delays there on the DOT's end. I still anticipate making the final plans in the bid opening. And I just left the final, the 80% cost estimate in there, which everyone had seen at the last council meeting. So I just wanted to update you guys, I guess, on where that stood.
Okay.
Any questions on that project at all?
What was the total cost to the city on that?
So you're looking at roughly 170,000.
So if we don't get an easement from the John Ryan addition, do we just stop at the truck route?
We'll probably continue along golf course, but instead of crossing the truck route, we're not going to cross the truck route,
Okay,
which
I reached back out to her today and I haven't heard anything more. Our first conversation was, it was okay, but it wasn't anything, I don't have any promises with what that easement will come back with at this time.
So up next, I guess, is the, something we brought up the last, council meeting with our water modeling. Looping of that water line, you had asked for a cost, roughly around 315 feet. And it's the red line would be the new line that would be installed to create a loop. The blue lines are what's existing right now. So you'll have to cross the county right away, and you'll have to do some boring underneath the asphalt road to get that line in there. But roughly 80,000 for the engineering and the construction of that. So at the last council meeting, you had kind of asked for a cost estimate to get that looped.
So what's the location on that red line part again?
So that red line would be the new line that you'd have to install.
Yeah, but what street is that?
Yeah, that's Frontier Village.
Oh, that's Frontier Village.
Yeah.
Okay. I was trying to figure out where it was.
Seems like a lot of money for not a lot of pipe, doesn't it? I'm just. So I mean, I know that will increase our capacity, right? And we had the water tower issue and that should solve that. And then you don't have any dead ends. It just seems.
That's gonna solve the fire flow issue in the back. By the trailer courts over there. Yeah, I'd have to get bored underneath, the county right away. I assume the county would probably, want it bored right away to right away, not just under the road.
When we tested it this weekend, did we see any issues with it?
What was that?
That's where we pulled our water on Saturday morning.
Now, you could have good flow on that side, if you've got the water over by the, state building behind their shop, you won't pick up the water pressure. There's a hydrant behind the state shop over there. That's girl. And the other side here, they got good water pressure. Across the street where they goes all the way.
And creating that loop likely is gonna give, other people some better pressure in that area and maybe throughout the system entirely itself. I'll just mention, we did that water modeling, it looks at the worst case scenario possible, your highest demand of water, and you all of a sudden have a fire on that day. So you could go out there and test it right now. Is it gonna tell you that it's low pressure? No. Likely not.
So what do we need on this?
Well, and this is a preliminary estimate, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe it'd be cheaper.
Yeah. I will
Maybe.
preference that I like to come in a little bit higher rather than a little bit lower right away.
So it's roughly $235 a foot to put it in.
Yeah.
And that's
And a lot of your
8 inch.
cost is gonna be in that boring through the county.
I mean, it hasn't been designed yet, or anything. You're not asking for approval.
No.
What size is that gotta be? 8?
8-inch, I would recommend, I guess, but we would look at that in the design.
Are they the same size now? Or is that one that runs on the north side smaller?
Curtis, do you know that?
I know that the longer that goes east and west, that's an 8 inch.
On the north side?
On the north side. I'm not 100% sure if that's a 6 inch, that blue line that's heading to the south. It's up at the ramp. I can't remember seeing that at any any of my plans that I see, what size that is, but I can double check on it for you.
I mean, is the need there? I mean, a potential $80,000 investment. You know, I wasn't here this weekend, but I mean, that was probably worst case scenario. I mean, how did everything seem to work?
We were on the south side, we pulled out the south side, where you got your probably close to 70 pounds of static pressure coming off that water.
You were just filling the tanker down there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there, it's gonna fill it fine, because we were 2 blocks away from the water tower, so the maximum static pressure occurs. The same, if we would have pulled off the hydrant on the north side, we probably wouldn't have had quite the same pressure.
We're not utilizing our tower to its potential without this, right?
Yeah, well, that's the whole, yeah, that would, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds with the water tower situation. To say that you're not fully utilizing it to its potential, I can't say that that's a accurate statement.
Well, the other thing is if there's a water break somewhere, there's less people gonna be without water for a while if you got it looped.
Right. Loops are obviously always better than dead end lines.
So what would it cost to get this engineered and call for bids and see what it's actually gonna cost before we decide?
Sure, so I kind of threw in the preliminary engineering and the construction engineering and the construction, all as one is 80K. So take 20% off of there for the engineering. Usually what we do is we assume 10% preliminary and 10% construction. That's a pretty,
So the preliminary 10%, you said?
yeah, 10% of that.
Do you have a task order, did you have a task order for more modeling? Must not.
I had that prepared, but I didn't want to present it at this one. We had enough going on, I felt.
I think maybe it'd be good to look at that and an actual PE estimate for this, maybe next month or something.
Okay.
Good.
That
Because the
works.
other
We
one
can
that
put that together.
isn't in here is to look at more of what the effects are on the water towers and, you know, just design side modeling. Give us a more complete picture of what it helps and what it doesn't.
Okay, yeah, we can put that together and present that at the next council meeting. If there's no other questions on that, that's all that I got since we touched on the agreement already. Yeah, I could, ooh, I don't know if I have that on this. Yeah, I can give you a big shot of it.
That's it?
Okay, yep, that's it.
Okay, any questions for Donovan? You'll work with Wagner, make sure they got material next summer?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone.
So if they get that, just to touch on that labor stuff, if they order the material and they store it in their yard, they charge us a fee to store it.
I don't know on that.
They can order their material, and what they would do is they would send their invoice prices. And their invoice prices is obviously just the material cost, not the labor and time and equipment. They can get a percentage of that. They can request a percentage of that. Yeah.
I guess I would like to see it delivered here then.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be fine with paying for the material 100% if it's here.
And just,
They're offering the actual purchase price of the material. That's what they're asking for. So,
if they ask for it, they
Not just-
haven't asked for that.
yeah, but I mean, it's not just for storing it. Even if they stored it here, they'd want the same amount.
Right. Yep.
Yep.
Right, and I'm fine, I mean, if it gets delivered, then pay for it, but
Yep.
don't pay them a 10% fee to store it in their chain of fence when
Well, you work with them on that, but
Okay.
we just want the stuff here when it's time to dig.
Okay, we'll make
Okay.
sure they're aware. Thank you.
Thanks, Donna. Next on the agenda, Lynn, you might have to help me on this one.
So this would be for one of our upcoming projects. This is kind of that highway safety improvement program. Be kind of for like the signs and the pavement markings. So this would just be, and I think this is kind of more or less their standard, like construction participation, or cost participation, construction and maintenance agreement. I think this is pretty standard to most of their projects they do, isn't it, Kendra?
Yes, this is very standard for them.
So I know we've signed several of these in the past, you know, when we've done things with the DOT.
Which page are you on?
About 113-ish.
I don't have page numbers.
So on the front, you'll kind of see there's like, it says memo 2. It says Jen Turnbow.
Nope, sorry. Yeah, that might be.
So if we're good with this, we just need a motion for Lynn and I to sign this, I guess.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion,
Which project is this?
This is the safety one.
With the signs? Is that the yield signs all over the city or?
the safety.
Crosswalk, and yeah.
So this is actually one of the projects we'll have to do a request for proposals for.
Yep.
And there'll be like the cost, you know, percentage paid by the DOT, and obviously the city will have a share in it as well.
Yeah, because there's federal money.
The one that does not have, I'm sorry, the one that does not have this would be the walking path. The walking path won't have a share or an RFP with it, but this one will.
I was just thinking this would be through the state.
She gave me a checklist and I can pull it if it, I don't know if I gave it over to Lynn, but I believe that's part of, I'll have to find that.
And I mean, it doesn't, I think we should approve it. It just, sometimes if they're bid through the state, they do the engineering solicitation, so we wouldn't do it, wouldn't have to, but maybe that's not the case on this one.
This is what that's what I received from Elena Gottsman at the NDDOT. She also sent instructions for the city council when we would have the interviews on the RFP.
That's.
So any comments on this or questions?
Basically, so we're paying 10% of the construction and CE costs.
Right. Okay, motion by Zach. Is there a second?
I already motioned, but.
It was motioned by Jake, second by David.
Oh, okay.
We just need to do roll call.
Sorry, Zach. Okay,
Sorry, Jack.
call the roll.
Jake,
Aye.
Zach, Ty,
Aye.
Linda,
All right,
David,
Aye.
Chad.
All right.
Motion carried. Okay, the next one then is the North Dakota DOT. That's the shared use pathway. That's one that there's a bill attached. And there's a bill for $1,468.70.
I'd move to approve.
What's it pay for?
It was, the preliminary cost, I believe.
This is the pathway, this one, there's no federal money, Zach, I think is, if I remember right.
This one there is maybe. This one there should be, I think.
This should have federal.
You don't have to do anything else. Is what- I'd have to look at the email that I received regarding this, but yeah, if you see at the bottom, she's a federal aid accountant. This one does have, they're taking care of securing everything for us on that one.
Well, this one followed the process I was thinking the last one did, where the state actually selected the engineer.
I believe.
And we've already submitted the bill to the state, and now they're just billing us back
Yes.
for the 10%.
I believe that's where we're at with it. She didn't indicate there was anything besides this bill that was going to be for the shared use pathway coming before the city council for action right now.
Looks like we've already paid them $5,800, but this is the remainder. Second.
Who made the motion? Jake?
Jake,
Okay, second by Chad. Call the roll.
Jake,
Aye.
Zach,
Abstain.
Ty,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Chad.
Motion carried. So next we have the requests for qualifications and proposals. So Lynn, what do we got to do on this now?
So more or less, right now, we just need a motion to approve to publish both the notice of qualifications and the notice, request for qualifications and the proposals. And I believe it's got to be done, what, 21 days?
Yes, under century code, it will all have to, the date that they will be due is at least 21 days after the date of publication.
Okay,
This is just for the engineering firms for it.
So the RFQ specifically is required for the water project through Country Estates, and then both the sign project and the Country Estates project will need an RFP.
I'll second.
Okay.
Chad made the motion.
Who motioned?
motion by Chad, second by Jacob.
So the RFP to perform construction engineering, that's specific to the,
There's one for each.
oh, there's no for each. I didn't see a second.
The Water Commission requested that we'd also do a request for qualifications because we hadn't done one on record of having a city engineer in the last 3 years. So she requested that to meet their funding guidelines, we would do the RFQ as well.
So the one on page 123, that's for the Country Estates water main extension. So what the State Water Commission approved was 60% of the preliminary engineering. And we haven't requested construction engineering yet, so I think that one needs to be preliminary engineering. And then we'll go back after that and request construction engineering, and then we'll have to do this again, but I think that one's supposed to be preliminary engineering at this time.
Ariel and I can get that changed and get it back to you.
I think it's probably just one word, construction to preliminary, the rest of it's probably fine, but I think
So we got to go back to that one you said?
yeah, it's two, we got awarded the 60% for the preliminary engineering, but we haven't even asked for the construction, and we can't ask for it until they're bid ready. So you gotta go through the whole preliminary engineering first, and then we can go back and ask for it, and then we can select the engineer again for the CE.
Okay.
And theoretically, we could pick a CE engineer now too, but we need to do the preliminary engineering.
So we still need this request for qualifications, right? We've had a motion and second on this. So you want to call the roll on that and we'll get that.
Okay, so we're only doing the request for qualifications?
All of them would need to be addressed, but if you're gonna do the one for Country Estates, that the RFQ would be approved for publication subject to change from construction engineering to preliminary engineering. If that's correct, then we could get it published.
Okay. Jake,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Chad.
Motion carried. Okay,
I guess I do have one question. So do we want to, obviously, we need to put dates in these. Anybody have a time frame they'd like to? Or do you just want me to figure 21 days from there and just put in a date or?
If you did 30 days, maybe that would be sufficient to give people enough turnaround time. And I feel like some of the ones that I've looked at lately are open for a period of 30 days that have been posted.
And I'm guessing we don't want to do interviews during like our regular council meeting. We'll want to do,
A special meeting. And just so everyone's aware, we are required, every member, because we're using the council as the committee, instead of forming a separate committee, which they're both fine with, everyone will have to take interview notes, and those notes will have to be submitted to the DOT and the Water Commission after the interviews, so.
okay.
Do we
Do we have doodles or?
need to address the fact that I won't be in on that somehow?
If you want to make a comment. Yeah, that's fine. I'll make.
Yeah, that put you in an awful precarious position.
Okay. Call the roll. Have you did that?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're done with the, are we ready for the next one? The shared use pathway sign? That makes sense?
so I know this was initially, it had been discussed probably several months ago. I know there is a few other entities or individuals that do not want to be listed on the sign. So we thought it might just be easier just to make the sign simple as what I presented to you. And I just wanted to make sure that was okay with the city council. Because we also, since we haven't gotten to finish planting the trees, because obviously with it being a dry year, we have asked for an extension on the grant, but we will need to obviously get the sign ordered so that when we do plant, probably hopefully this, coming spring, that we can get the sign installed as well.
Okay, well, simple is probably as good as anything. Okay. Anything else on that then? Okay, let's move on. The second reading of the weed and grass ordinance. Comments, questions?
I'd make a motion to approve the second reading of the weed and grass ordinance.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Minton. Any comments? Call the roll.
Jake,
No.
Zach?
Aye.
Ty,
No.
Linda,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Chad.
Nay.
I vote yes. Motion carried. Next on the agenda would be the second reading of the alcohol beverage ordinance amendment. Basically, we're doing what the state has permitted now, changing it on Sunday openings. Any questions on that?
Just the verbiage, I read through it a few times. I'm looking page, it's like 130. Is it 132? All right, somewhere when I read the run-on sentence, kind of somewhere, all right, after Article 2 and then 8.0216. And when I get to the line, my head can't it doesn't make sense to me what I'm reading when I say, or between the hours of 1 a.m. and 8 a.m. on all other days of the week, Christmas Day after 1 a.m., period, on Thanksgiving Day, after 6 p.m. on Christmas. It's that line between like Christmas Day after 1 a.m. on Thanksgiving Day after 6 p.m. In my head, I'm like, what can I don't know, does that look?
Just saying that it's exactly, sorry. It's exactly the same as it was before, just with the adjustment of Sunday. So our ordinance read the same on that. I can pull out the older one.
Yep, no, I mean, that's why I just, when I looked at the verbiage, I'm like, what does that mean? Like, it just seems like there's a period and a comma and a spot. I'm like,
Well, I'm guessing you can't
You know what I
sell
mean?
after 1 a.m. on Thanksgiving Day, and you can't sell after 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, it's probably applicable to everything before.
yeah, it just says, yeah,
That's what changes, they can open at 8
yep.
on Sunday.
No, it was just that line where I scratched my head going, but that sounds funny to me.
It's lawyer talk.
Yeah, it's,
Yep, it looks like it reads exactly the same as before. I just only changed the time on Sundays. So instead of,
From noon to 8 in the morning.
yeah, it just removes the 8 before 8 a.m.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ty. No other discussion, call the roll.
Jake,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Chad.
Motion carried. 7-minute break.
Where's that? Oh, no, that mutual, right, the old site. Well, that's Marshall. That's good. Before that, I mean, like, Sweet Clover, that's came. I mean, like, because it wasn't. That's the one, not Marshall. Oh. There's several. Well, I just mentioned the grass. But he said. But if there's a blade of grass that's above the thing, then it don't make a shape. So this guy's split here. I would much rather see us raise the fee to $1,000. I do too. We'll just charge you $1,000 and like you and me. Because then we're gonna baseball field. Yeah. Everybody else. Because now the next one coming, they're saying it's off. Whatever they call it. That's not. I don't even change the game. It's just a copyright. If you're wrong, if you're disabled and bring it on, it's about whatever that measurement, what it is. Then it's up to the guys. But make the fee for cutting it so that in mind, they're not push the envelope. Because you know what, it comes from their taxes at the end of the year. You know, well, I guess I haven't showed you a picture of the office. Oh, no. Demetrius, you said everything's going great and the dogs are laid back. Non-stressful, probably fun. Your daughter says it's much better because last week you had something else. Well, I did some reading on that, and that doesn't work here as well as when they start. He says he's putting on some weight down there. That's cool. That's cool. Female before.
This one's the waterfall, I understand.
Fundraiser. This says fundraiser. Benefits. I didn't know what that was. That was not my list of questions. Was because it didn't have an explanation.
If you can find that out, in the next 2 minutes.
I'll see if he answers the phone. Just get him.
I can stall this.
I forgot to add you to the name that you took me off last month. Missed it. Yeah, Brady? Oh, you're in Arizona, well, they have a question that doesn't state who the fundraiser benefits for. Whether that's or translated. Oh, it says 11/6/21. Okay.
Oh, good.
I saw that today when I was reading through them, and I was like, yeah, there wasn't else before. I mean, that doesn't really. Okay. All right. This is security.
Right, well, and she's like, hold on, weekend.
I heard on the radio today.
In the back of my mind.
I was all there. I wanted to- So I measured before it's spilled into the second half of the ditch. The first portion of the ditch that they had piped off, it was
Right, exactly.
in there. It's 850. Yes. The guys sitting there, I said, "Oh, yeah, this is public water." That's double already. So I put, let's go run that part. Well, yeah, and I was up there yesterday. They had uncovered, they remediated all the soils. 30 years of this. It's all in schools. Float out of about 200. Don't quote me on this, but our pipeline is on 240. It flowed out of that. It wasn't like spring. It flowed out of that. Well, usually you guys know it's 3. And of course, there's something. Well, Right.
Calling back to order. First, the next thing on the agenda is the gaming site authorization. The gaming site authorization is for the Delta Waterfall, December 11th at the county building to have a raffle.
Motion to second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're waiting on a phone call on the special permits right now. Because I don't know if you noticed in the second one, there's nobody listed as to who it's for. It's just a fundraiser benefit.
Which one is that?
We might have it here in a minute. Okay,
The rail race.
okay.
Anything else, or I'll move to approve.
Yeah, and there's 2 of them. The other one is for the Montrose County Farmers Union Annual Meeting. One's a 5-spot, one's a leader. Now, is that okay?
Yep, I'll move to approve both.
Okay. Second by Chad. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next on the agenda, the R&T appointment. Zach's term will expire, and that annual meeting is in November, but Zach, are you okay with re-upping? So we'd need a motion to,
Second.
okay? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You want to send a copy of the minutes? Zach got reelected. Okay, we're up to the Public Works. And don't let me forget the police report.
Yep.
We'll do that
was my
after
fault,
Kurt.
Sorry.
He's already up, so.
Mr. Mayor, Council, you can see on my packet today, I have 2 items on my agenda. The first one is Prairie Ford quote, and that would be to trade in Gene's pickup truck for a new one. His truck is a 2012, and it has 58,115 miles on it. And discussed it with the Public Works Committee. It was a pretty good conversation about it. And I'm thinking maybe we shouldn't wait so long to trade them in. This is gonna be almost 10 years old, and we're getting 14,000 for it, so, on a trade-in. So if we went maybe every 5, 6 years, we probably could get a better trade-in value on it. So,
What's the repairs been in the first 5 years?
oh, that I couldn't tell you. I
Is
don't
it-
think there's been a lot, because now it's been out in-house repairs. So,
Yeah, and I think Brian does a lot of them.
yeah, basically it's, well, I know the power steering went on it. It's probably last year, a lot of brakes on it. And so,
Is this pickup available?
yeah, when he orders it, it'll be here January or February, so.
Comments, questions?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, is there a second? Second by Mr. Taylor. Any further discussion? Call the roll?
Jake,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty.
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Chad.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Okay, the second one is R&R Tree Service quote. And we had a pretty good conversation about this also. Have you guys had a chance to look at his prices on the second 2 pages? For the tree removals?
Is that quote for, I know it says does not include the alleyways, but it's pretty much all around town.
Correct. And that first page there, if you guys wanted to break this up a little bit, I'd recommend to have you guys do the first page. And that's for clearing the branches out of the streets and next to the curb and gutter and the intersections and.
Steve Bulkround.
Yep.
Is the first one, right?
Yep.
And I think our ordinance says they have to be 12 feet above the curb.
Yeah, he's doing 12 to 14, it
Yep.
says, so.
We're breaking them apart though, Kurt.
Well, that's gonna be up to you guys. It's gonna be like a little discussion here.
I'll move to approve the first one.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Zach. Any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. On the alleyways, do we take care of them or,
Well, we can get a price or an estimate from him.
because there's some alleyways that are.
They're all terrible. Except for mine, because I trim mine out myself, so.
Mine's good.
His is, yeah.
What's the benefit?
So's
of
mine.
getting out of the
Yours
alley?
is
Because
good.
the garbage truck don't run back there.
Dave, how's yours?
Excellent.
Yeah,
Well, it's rough,
Just
it's,
ask.
well, we gotta go to a loader and it's a pain in the, it's hitting the mirrors and blah, blah, blah. Especially where by Zach's house.
well, maybe we'll do the alleys as a separate,
Right, I
Thing.
can, I'm gonna be meeting with him on Thursday because, in this project, you'll see you got 26 trees. And in the project, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them in the project, so. I gotta meet up with him because, there's 4 more that I don't see on his estimate, so. It should have saved a few dollars in that project by going through
okay?
R&R Tree Service.
Well, let's do this first one first. We've got a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, call the roll.
Jake,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty.
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Chad.
Motion carried. So now on this, the second one, You've got a bunch of addresses, Kurt?
Yep, if you want to go, let's start with the one with the 701 on the first, on the list there. And then the second page would be 710, if you want to break them up that way.
First page is 7,
They're backwards.
second page is 7-1.
Okay, I'm sorry. I mixed them up on my end.
So these are on boulevards?
Yes, boulevards, it's pushing up the curbs and the sidewalks.
And the first list is sidewalk damage, the second list is curb damage. So like the first one, the second address on there is fine.
And we talked about, I think back in the past, it was the homeowner's responsibility to get rid of them. But we were talking, there's a lot of, well, older people in the town that can't afford to have it done, so.
So would we contact all these people first and tell
Well,
them?
what
we're-
we would do, if you guys go this way, we can have them put this, print this in the paper. Tell them these other trees are gonna be removed by the city. We should almost put something in there that maybe if the city removes them, that they can plant a new tree, but not a cottonwood. They'd have to get a hold of the public works director to figure out what type of tree.
Send them a letter out, I think, just to make sure under our.
I think a personal
ordinances.
letter would be good.
Yeah, I think we need to be a little court about it instead of just the last in the papers, saying the trees coming down next.
Yep.
Okay,
And
So
these
this,
are-
that's probably something we'd do in the spring, Kurt?
you get out it as soon as possible.
I'd like to
Cut
have,
down 2 of mine, I want them all 3 now.
Well, you have to talk to them then.
That's, I mean, there's, how do you pick which 2 of the 3 that is causing the damage? They're cottonwoods. I cut one down last year already.
You can't
I
have-
imagine the root ball and those things. is
You
just-
can't have a tree cut and ground for $800. That's a really good.
No, I mean, it's typically, you're usually, I mean, I've seen people paying $2,000 to like $4,000 for trees. I'm like,
Yeah.
you look at the rate, I mean, no matter how we do it, I'm like, it doesn't get. You know,
Yeah.
I paid $1,000 down.
you know.
yeah, I'd like to see him get a letter beforehand though.
I mean, if somebody actually says no, I mean, what's their basis? Or is, I mean, I don't see anybody fighting back in the cottonwoods or.
I don't think they can say no.
You can declare it a nuisance under our ordinances. We have a pretty pretty detailed tree chapter in our ordinances.
Not that I imagine anybody that's had to rake up after cottonwood's gonna fight you, but I'm just.
So if we did do this, I mean, we could give Kurt the go-ahead to do it pending notification.
Okay,
Of
what happens
these-
if somebody's not willing to have your tree cut down?
We'll
I
go
mean, it's
through
put-
the.
It's
we'll go
push it
through-
up.
Then you gotta
We'll
call
go through
and
the nuisance and abatement process then under the chapter.
they'll have to be left separate. So then one other thing, Kurt, on this side of the underpass, on the west side, there's 2 big old trees right up close to tracks, and they're both dead. Now that would be on private property probably, or highway right away.
Then it's real.
That's being.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe Amanda can follow up with,
I don't know, Kendra, is that someone that we can?
Yeah, let me talk, when I email her back for an update,
different
I'll ask about the trees.
but
as
they were
well.
completely dead this summer.
Do you want me to get a picture of them for you?
Yeah, please.
Okay,
Quick question on the ones that we've condemned over the years for the bug and whatever that have had a red X painted on them probably for the last 6 years every year. Is that gonna cause discontent? We're not making them people get them removed.
There's a process under this chapter I can talk to you about. I'd need to just review it a little bit more, but if it's elm disease,
Yep.
it says that you can only remove them from April 1st to October 15th to transport them.
But I mean, we've got several of them in town that have been painted red for several years that are still standing. Just heads up, I mean, I'm not gonna
Yep.
complain about that.
we should follow up on them too
We
and
need
see.
to- we need to be kind of across the board on this if we're gonna, cherry pick people's trees and let other people that have their own stand.
I think Joe and Nichols put the red picks on them. And he's the overall.
Yeah, and also those people that own the homes, except for when we have that tree removal grant,
Mhm.
which you can apply for in February.
Yep. And that's maybe something to look at too.
We give it. Clean them up, it's good and all.
Yep. Would you say there's a grant available in February?
That you can apply for.
Yeah.
Like a 10,000 tree removal grant.
Well, that would cover half of this.
Well,
Whatever you guys think.
we need to address,
Need a
the-
motion?
Well, I think we need to find out if we can wait with this until that grant can be made available, or if they can do it.
But you're not guaranteed the grant, you just apply for it.
Right.
It'd be nice to lock this price in, though.
Yeah.
Bidding.
yeah, but it's not guaranteed, you know what I mean?
No.
I mean,
And-
we roll the dice on, I mean, because it is something where if we approve this, would this be something we could still apply for the grant to apply towards and just hope for the best?
Afterwards, Joan?
Well, if you're not gonna do it in spring, I suppose it doesn't matter.
I think for the trees that are within the project limits. should
Yeah, you
either
got
be
10 of
in
them
and
now.
out before the project starts or.
Yeah, you want those
Just
ones
stay out of the
gone
way,
before the
but-
project starts.
How many was there that were in the?
I found 6 that are in the project, but there's 10 total. So,
There's 26 of them on this list. Plus
Yeah.
whatever else we want.
well, this is what Donovan gave me. That's in the project. And the one with the
Oh,
check.
in the yeah, no, I'm talking just on this deal from.
You got 26 trees that are becoming now.
But I also think in your tree ordinance, Kendrick and Chad, if you remove their tree, you have to replace the tree if you order it removed. So you're gonna pay for the removal and the replacement.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to get it done, but I think we need to dig into it a little more. So it might
Well,
be spring.
If we could word it or say that the city will pay to remove the tree, well, the homeowner will pay to put a new one in.
But if the ordinance
Change
states,
your ordinance,
then
or
you
what
gotta
you should
change
do,
your
because
ordinance.
Your ordinance says that the removal is by the owner and the planting is by the city, so you really need to change the ordinance.
As long as the city is requesting the removal of it.
I think it depends on our ordinances reflect if it's considered a public tree or a private tree. Because some of them are special assessed against the property, but I think it's special assessments more so if it's one that has Dutch elm disease. But I would have to review this. This is pretty lengthy and specific, and I could get you a memo on it.
Do we need approval to start on cutting canopy limbs?
That's.
No, that was,
It's done.
we've done that one. So what do you guys want to do here?
We gotta get it right, so,
Yep.
I mean, when do you want to do this, Curtis?
Well, I'm gonna meet with him on Thursday.
But like, was this gonna be this year or is this gonna be next spring?
Well, he'd start on the project or start on this first one that you guys approved right away.
Right, but I mean, like the actual, the cottonwoods, would that be still before snow falls kind of thing? The actual trees getting
Right,
ground
but
out?
I think what he said, he could do it throughout the year, once he gets if he gets the okay on it, he can start at any time, and he's just continuing. He won't take him long. But if there's different things that, you know what I mean? I don't know how long he'll wait.
Cut my tree down. The rest of them I don't want. I think Kendrick needs to be that ordinance to tell us what we're looking at. Make sure that we know what it's gonna cost. Because if we gotta replace trees at a certain dollar value, then that number could be half of it as much.
Yep.
Is that kind of what I was picking up that you were putting down, Kendra? kind of advise us to,
Yeah, I can get you a memo on kind of the steps of it because there's going to be a separate process for the ones that have Dutch elm disease or another disease. Because there's a 10-day time frame, but it also asks for it to be tested. Where other ones are a nuisance, but there's not as much specifics as to those. So I'll have to look through this before I can give you a precise answer.
and there's a window of time for the Dutch elm ones too, right? Like a calendar window.
Yeah, April 1st to October 15th.
We already passed those.
So the,
Add a footnote to this, please.
Yeah.
Could we, all the stump grindings or whatever millings of these trees, if we take them to the dump and pile them up, can we offer them to the public for mulch? So that Curtis doesn't have to worry about burning that pile or burying it?
Well, he's
We
got to,
tell them, whoever comes there, we tell them we want to take it, you know what I mean?
you can tell him about it. Well, what do you guys think? It'd be good to hold off until spring, Kurt. And get everything in order.
Well, we need to get the ones in that project done before spring.
Oh, I
Otherwise,
see
you're
what you
gonna be
mean.
paying $1,700 a tree, I don't think you're gonna want that.
Okay,
Is all these in the project area, are they taking every tree down or are they leaving what they can or?
This is what's in the project area, the ones with the check mark,
Mhm.
the one that he already
Yep.
has on his list.
Yeah, no, I was just curious. So these ones have come down for the project for sure.
Yes.
I think those were just ones that were identified as impacting,
Lift in the street and all that, and- okay.
is that right, Don?
Yeah, those were identified as, like Chris said, they're already breaking your curb apart, breaking your sidewalk apart.
I mean, is there a way to expedite the project ones or, I mean, I want to make sure we get it right, obviously.
And then, maybe it isn't an issue, I just don't want to give Wagner an excuse that we delayed his process.
And I can turn around and get you an answer by tomorrow on this, get you some sort of a memo. I think you still have to provide those people with notice, though,
Correct.
if it's, yeah. And it says a reasonable time if it's not something that has Dutch elm disease, so.
So do you think we need till spring or for the 26 trees? And we can get these 10 cut down for the project?
well, if she can get you the answer by tomorrow, you're meeting with them Thursday.
Thursday.
We should be good.
I'll get you a step-by-step kind of broken down of what the ordinance requires you to do.
Okay, that'll work.
Yeah, the only question is the grant. If we do the work prior to the grant coming up, then the SAB can't apply for the
You can
grant.
apply for it, but you might not get it either, so.
Right. But they've been there for 40 years, so if it's 6 months or 4 months to wait for the grant and apply for it and get half of it paid for, them 4 months are, that's all that, I mean, it's winter, they're not.
Okay, what do you guys want to do?
Whatever she advises us to, but also taking in consideration that whatever we need to do to continue with the capital improvement project isn't held up. If we can do the whole 9 year,
Yeah, I mean, I think the capital project is what is the priority. to get them done.
Yep.
So with what Zach
Yeah.
referred to, we're not holding that up, but my personal feeling is if we can wait till spring to cut the other 26 down and have a chance at getting 2 years of it paid for.
Yeah, I'll talk
why
to him.
wouldn't we?
I'll let him know that there's a possibility we can get a grant in February. He's pretty easy to work with, so.
Okay.
we need some sort of formal motion on that or?
Yeah, you might want to because of the cost.
Yep, because we're spending money.
Right.
So move.
You want to state your motion, Dave?
I just said, right?
Yeah.
What everybody said.
How about this, did you move or? I don't know what we moved
To turn Kurt loose?
Yes.
Okay.
on whatever the guidance
Oh,
is.
my
of-
God, one more thing.
Oh, wait.
We have a more specific
Well, no,
motion,
there's a little bit
how,
more to it than.
I moved to start cutting the overhanging branches over.
That's done.
Already did that.
That one's done.
Yep.
so we just, more or less, this is the ones for the capital improvement project. And how many trees are there?
10.
Okay,
That,
Right. The rest of it.
Proceeds, sir.
And that was, what was the cost on that? Did he give you a cost?
Not yet, I gotta.
Not yet?
Well, there's 6 of them that were on the list at $800 a piece.
Okay.
Yeah. It averages out to $800 a piece. So
Irregardless of.
So if we give you a budget of 10 grand, you could get all them ones that are on that project out of the way and make sure the rest are done legally and wait for a grant for the last 10.
Yeah, 10 grand should cover that.
Yeah.
26 minus 8.
So maybe we want to do it that way, approve.
Just approve the trees in the project area.
Okay. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ty. Any other discussion? And then we'll come back to the rest of them after we figure out a few more things.
Yeah, I'll probably bring it up at the next council.
Okay. Call the roll.
Jake?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
Linda?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Chad?
Motion carried.
I got one more thing.
It's not on the list.
I know. It came up today, actually. Sand and salt. We're thinking we're gonna need probably 6 to 8 loads. And they're gonna give me the same price they gave the county. It's $27.97 per ton. At 8 loads, it'd be 120 ton. It'd be 3,360.
Second.
And if it's 6 loads, it'd be 2,520.
Okay. Call the roll.
Jake?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
Linda?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Chad?
They got it on hand.
Yeah, we can go pick it up next week. I got one more thing. It's just a question. We own property on 10th Avenue and 3rd Street Southeast. Are you guys interested in leasing that to the guy that lives next door?
Where is it?
So that is right next to the Dairy Queen, to the west,
To the east?
right up against where Natalie Custer lived. There, you know how the street kind of curves? We kept that area in case we ever had to straighten the road out, or it's not even a half a lot, is it?
Yeah, pretty big lot.
Is it?
You have water and sewer plumbed into it, so
Who maintains it?
we do. This way, we don't have to worry about cutting grass over there or shooting the gopher. I mean, shooting the gophers.
We'll move to rent it to him annually for $1 and then he maintains it.
Yeah.
Yes?
Go ahead.
What is he gonna be using it for? Because if he's making improvements on it, I mean, maybe that's a whole different thing.
Well, you'd have to get a building permit.
Yeah, but I mean,
And
you
it'd be
guys are
our
gonna allow him
property.
to make improvements on a property that he doesn't own?
Well, you'd have to come to us for
Put
it.
a fence or build a shop.
I mean, if he wants to put a swing set, that's fine, but
Are we allowed to go over and swing on the swing set? Can you ask Jake, Zach? Okay.
Yeah, we'll see the document. You'll have to draw something up in writing.
okay.
So if you get me the information, we can look at
What,
it.
what do you need, where it's located or?
Yep, and then what your terms are, I guess, if you want it for how long and for $1, or if there's anything else specific, if you send me an email. Follow up.
It's gonna be up to you guys, I guess.
Well, I would think it could go on unless we, within 30 or 60 days, give them written notice that we're gonna do something with it, or,
Terminate it out.
Who's the other party?
pardon?
Who's the other party that you're renting it to? Oh, okay, gotcha.
Who was it?
Jacob Ingy. He owns
Oh.
that house?
Yeah, he bought it from.
On the corner, okay.
No, that's
So
all.
we probably should have a motion to enter into an agreement and let Kendra draw it up and,
I'd say that's what mine was.
okay, is there a second?
Do you want it?
Yeah, what, is there something specific he's looking to do on it, or what was the intent, I guess?
No, there's just,
Okay, I would probably bring the agreement back before council after I've drafted it, because I think we would discuss
Maybe
it
we
more at
should
that
have something
point.
in writing from him directly,
Yeah.
directly asking what he's looking to,
Have him bring something before.
sorry, something for
council.
our files and
Well,
then,
Yeah.
I guess I'd like to know what his intentions are
Okay, well, we'll
on
hold
the
off till,
property before you lease it out.
we'll hold off till we get a letter from him.
Okay,
Okay,
that'll work. That's all I have.
that's it?
That's it. I promise.
All right, we got. We need a motion to approve the Public Works report.
So moved.
By Dave, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Zach. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kurt. The police report would be next.
Well, I'll keep it short. I visited with Demetrius on how his training's going, and he says it's going awesome, and the dog's doing really well at the training, and so another week after this week, and then he should be back here, so. His only complaint is when I asked him if he was FaceTiming his kids, that kids wanted to have more to do with the dog than him, so. I said it won't change once you get back to town. People want to see the dog. Nice to see you. Where's the dog? So as far as the vehicle, I haven't heard when they'll be able to get that for the K-9 unit yet, so I'll follow up and let everybody know there. And the only other thing I guess I have was John and I went through TASER training, so we're good for another 2 years, so we can train surrounding agencies and our own agency, so. And that's all I have, so.
So any applications for the opening?
I sent off one, and there's another request today. Some of the ones we've had, I visited with other agencies, and they said that they wouldn't hire them back, so.
So is Mr. Jenkins back yet?
Nope, I haven't heard from him. I know his mother passed away, so.
Okay.
All right,
Any-
thank you,
any
Mayor and Council.
Questions or for the,
Yeah, scheduled date of return.
I don't know.
The last notice I got from him was the middle of the month from Workforce Safety that they wanted another 2 weeks of September where, with all the restrictions. So since that, I haven't heard from him. So I'm assuming he would have had a follow-up the end of the month.
So you kind of have, kind of nice to have an idea of what you're looking at.
Yeah, so we basically got 2 police officers right now.
But I will reach out to him. I thought he'd be reaching out to me to keep me informed, but.
I'd make a phone call.
Okay. Any other questions for Chris? I'd entertain a motion to approve the police report
So moved.
by Chad, second.
Second.
Second by Ty. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Attorney updates.
I'll keep it pretty brief. Amanda and I have been working to move forward on the dangerous building list. We got good news from BNSF that they'll be coming out to sometime in November. I don't have a specific date, but they're going to be doing a walkthrough of the building, and they will be getting back to us if we can have a city rep there with them. But they want to keep it moving, so our persistence is paying off. So hopefully they'll have a plan for demolition of the building at some point. But their walkthrough is sometime in November, so we're getting close.
And Fritz, those trees are on the south side, right? Those 2 dead trees
On the other side of the
on the south side of the,
South side and the
of
west.
the road.
West side of Maine,
okay.
south side of the tracks.
I'm gonna get Kendra a picture and she's
Yeah.
gonna send it to the lady.
Yep, she's pretty responsive now, so that one's moving along well. And we've just tried to stay on top of other cases and updating our case list. So we should be moving forward with more dangerous building matters soon.
Chernobyl's coming along.
We're working on that as well. Yep. And I'm sure I can't really give you an end date right now of when, if that will be a hearing before city council or not. They still have some time to comply yet, but yep. And they have been in contact with us,
They
so
have.
we'll see what comes of that. They do have a hard deadline to comply, but I can't really tell off the top of my head. I don't want to give you a date that's not accurate, but it's
The
this
deadline
month.
date?
The
Do you want me to-
25th or the 23rd?
It's the 23rd.
23rd of October. So
What's
Yeah,
that
so-
for? Is that all?
Greenstone. Greenstone. Yep. So we're working on that, and I'm thinking our approach is to work with people and send them the letter first. And both of those two have been responsive now, so hopefully that continues on moving forward with that.
We did have a discussion about priority and some of the dangerous building lists we did add to the dangerous building list. I had went over that with Fritz, obviously off the record also, of what we have on there, what we're kind of expecting to do. And we have sent Kendra has sent some more letters to some homeowners to try to get things moving in the right direction. So
Yep.
it's definitely a good thing.
I think that's we're at a good starting point with balance of matters, so.
So will these burnt up houses get on your list right away?
We will just continue. I usually wait till I receive something from Amanda and she gives me a notice and we go over a priority list. Now that we're getting to the winter, the bigger ones are a little bit harder if we're trying to have someone comply with meeting a guideline when you can't do a whole lot of construction. But some of the smaller things, those ones would be easier to move forward at this time.
And I do have one that previously burned, that one on South Main. I don't want to say any names or anything, but I have been watching that and nothing has happened so far. So I don't know if you want to wait till like maybe the first of the year, give them enough time.
Pass on the information and we can go from there. But
And I know those two that
Sure.
recently burned, I think we're probably just going to be in a kind of a waiting game with those a little bit too, to see what the
Well, and
homeowners are going to do.
both the two from the last week, they're not secured right now, you know. They're both open, kids could walk in.
Yep. And that's
Um,
that's a concern when we look at the list of what we're dealing with. And that is why the list priority is why it is right now. So
Right.
if Amanda gets them over to me, we'll start on the process because it doesn't hurt us to try address these and reach compliance with people.
Okay.
I think we're on a track.
Right. And Kendra and I have already had a conversation, a preliminary conversation about some issues or some concerns that we kind of both shared on the first one that burnt last week. But we haven't had a chance to talk about the second one. So we can definitely do that later this week or next week.
I mean, in all reality, the second one is probably the most dangerous of the two. That needs, absolutely should have some attention immediately because it's structurally not sound where this other one is.
Yep. And I think too, the council, when we get closer to if we have to have a hearing before the city council, I will prepare a memo for you all to understand kind of what the hearing process is, just because we haven't done something like this yet. So we understand what our ordinances require and kind of what will go on, because it's not something we typically have a meeting on. So, you know, when we reach that point, I'll prepare a memo for everyone. Other than that, I don't really have many other updates. Our contact with DOT, Elena has been willing, if we have questions throughout the project processes as well. If the city has questions, we can submit them to her. So,
Well, and I think the second one, I've got his phone number. I talked to him that day and I think he'd hire somebody to push it down or something, because that's probably what it needs.
That'd be the best.
Okay.
When I went up to inspect the stage and the main floor, it's,
But I'll probably have Amanda do it.
Right. And we can do that. We would just have to, Kendra and I can get a letter together. We would have to ask permission to be able to go into the property. If not, it would be trespassing.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to council concerns, unless there's any auditor. That ain't on the list either. Okay? Start with Jake.
Nope.
Zach, Mr. Taylor.
I just had one idea. I mean, it's obviously no direction to go on it, but it's going through some of this tree stuff. And I remember days past, we used to hire a seasonal forester. It may have been 20 years ago. Is that anything worth looking into? Would we get more bang from our buck?
It's part of our ordinance is that there is a city forester that's appointed and there's.
But I mean, like
board.
an actual
I'd have to-
seasonal, somebody, that like bring somebody on that actually runs the chainsaws and, like, would that be worth looking into seasonally to have somebody who just does it all?
Not any other equipment to support it.
Yeah, then you need a bucket truck.
Boom
and-
trucks and chippers.
I was just looking, I mean, there's
Yeah.
like $30,000 worth of stuff and thinking, well, would it be worth trying to put a program together or anything seasonally? But just an idea, see if it sparked any thoughts. So that's it.
Okay. Linda? You've been very quiet tonight. Dave?
I'm good.
Chad? I got a couple of things. The first one is that county redistricting board, you got a sheet on your front of you. And Chad was unanimously elected to this position last month. And the meeting is tomorrow night. So just for your information. And then the second thing, and this is for Kendra, and behind BNC, there's a mailbox in the alley back there that I didn't know was there until that fire the other night. And it's off the street. It's in the alley between that house and Prairie Ford. Curtis says there's another one in town somewhere. And I'm not so sure I'm in favor of putting them in alleys. A lot of them alleys are tight enough the way it
Well,
is.
We don't have an ordinance on it, but I'm
Oh.
just surprised that the post office under their conditions and requirements permits it.
So can you check into that some way as far
I
as
can
the
give you a
post
print off of
offices?
their, yeah, I can ask them, but we as a city, we don't have any ordinances
Okay.
on that. We
And I-
voted that down.
I know that up in your area, Mr. Mayor, that when they wanted to change all those mailboxes up there, kind of by Ann Horn's house, right on that curb.
Yeah.
Curtis and I went up there and met with the postmaster and
Mhm.
asked them, here's what we were kind of thinking for loaders and snow removal and things like that. And honestly, I don't really think they were super receptive. Am I wrong? To what we were asking, and they have a list of what they say, oh, here's where you can put them as property owners, and they don't really consult with the city, which is really unfortunate, which is why I think you end up with one there, and then next to the chief's house in the alley is where that other one is.
Well,
No,
I'm not sure, but we should get a copy of their regulations
right.
and look into it.
I'll
and-
let you know that there are regulations, but at the bottom in bold print, it says, but subject to change due to local postmasters decision.
Right.
So when I called there the last time and we had the ordinance, there wasn't, he didn't really have anything set in stone, so.
Well, it's something we should look into because we don't want the alleys full of post off mailboxes.
Those alleys are the last thing that's gonna be plowed.
Yep. Okay,
But the neighbor said that the postmaster approved his in the alley by my place, so.
Which tells you that they're not really concerned about anything but having ease of operation for their mail carriers.
okay. Well, we need to look into that a little more. Judge's report made its way around. Is it-
Motion to approve.
By Linda, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Chad. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And then the bills.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Okay, motion by Mr. Hellman. Is there a second?
Second.
Go ahead, Linda.
Second by Linda. Any other discussion? I was gonna ask one question, but I can't remember what it was. Call the roll.
Jake,
Aye.
Zach, Ty,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Chad.
Motion carried. Is there any other business needs to come before this meeting? I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.